You know, people stop me all the time and ask, Rafael, I want to use this AI stuff, but don't I need a degree in computer science? Don't I need to know how to write code? And I tell them, no. In fact, if you think like a computer programmer, you might actually be bad at using AI. To understand this, you don't need an engineering degree. You only need three things. One, you need to know how to use a phone or email, basic tools. Two, you need to know what a normal computer prevents you from doing, making mistakes. Three, and most importantly, you need curiosity. Let me show you why. For the last 50 years, we taught people that computers are like soldiers. They do exactly what they are told. If I punch in 2 plus 2, this machine has no choice. It must give me 4. It follows strict rules. We call this deterministic. That's a fancy word that just means same input, same output every single time. In this world, if you make a tiny mistake, you miss a comma, you press the wrong button, the whole thing fails. That is why IT education was hard. It was about learning to be perfect, rigid, and precise. AI is not a better calculator. AI is something totally different. It doesn't follow rigid rules. It looks at patterns. It makes educated guesses. When you ask AI a question, it isn't calculating the truth. It is asking itself, based on everything I've ever read, what is the most likely answer to come next? We call this probabilistic. It's the difference between a marching band, rigid rules, and a jazz musician, improvisation based on patterns. So, how do you work with this jazz musician? Imagine you hire an intern, let's call him Al. Al has read every book in the Library of Congress. He works 24 hours a day. He never sleeps. But here is the catch. Al is extremely literal, and sometimes he is confidently wrong. If you say to Al, go handle this, he might come back with nonsense. But if you say, Al, I need you to write a summary of this report. Here is the goal. Here is what good looks like. And please, show me your work so I can check it. Suddenly, Al is the most powerful employee you have. This is the shift. Education is no longer about doing the task yourself, coding, calculating. Education is about managing the intern. It is about asking the right question and judging the answer. Now, for you business owners who care about return on investment, listen to this. I see companies buying AI tools and thinking, great, the software will do the work. Wrong. If you give a Formula One race car to someone who only knows how to ride a tricycle, they aren't going to win the race. They're going to crash. Research shows that if you give your employees just 5 hours of training on how to talk to this intern, everything changes. They stop asking generic questions. They start checking the AI's work for errors. They move from doing to directing. The return on investment doesn't come from the software. It comes from the human knowing how to drive it. This changes every job. The doctor. The AI summarizes the patient history and suggests diagnoses. The doctor uses their human judgment to decide which one is right and safe. The marketer. The AI generates 50 ideas in a minute. The marketer uses their taste to pick the one that won't embarrass the company. The lawyer. The AI writes the contract. The lawyer finds the loopholes the AI missed. In every case, the human moves up. You stop being the person digging the ditch, and you become the foreman directing the excavation. So don't be afraid of it. You don't need to be a tech wizard. You just need to be willing to ask a question, look at the answer, and say, is that right? That is not a computer skill. That is a thinking skill, and that is why this is for everyone. Go play with it. It's the most interesting toy we've ever built.